And this witch wanted to make some. So she went out into her garden and she planted some. And she really wanted to make sure those seeds grew, so she had to make sure she. And then, in the garden, a big grew. Well, Halloween was just hours away, so she went out into her garden so she could pick her pumpkin. She went out into her garden so she could pick her pumpkin. First she pulled, and then she pulled even harder, but the pumpkin just sat. She was so upset when along came a ghost.
It's pumpkin. It's big as my hands above my neck. I'm going to show you. Let me try.
So our ghost was bigger and stronger, so he went out in the garden and first he pulled, and then he pulled even harder, but that pumpkin just sat. Well, all of a sudden, along came a vampire.
Big pumpkin. It's big as my hands above my neck. I'm big and strong. Let me try.
So our vampire went out in the garden, and first he pulled, and then he pulled even harder. But again, the pumpkin just sat. Well, next, along came two mummies.
Big pumpkin. It's big as my hands above my back. It's big, stronger. Mummy.
So our mummies went out into the garden, and they pulled, and then they pulled even harder. They pulled, but the pumpkin just sat. Well, the witch and her friends, the ghost and the vampire and the mummies, they were so upset because they wanted that pumpkin pie. When all of a sudden, along came a little bat.
Big pumpkin. It's big as my hands above my back. I may be small, but I have an idea. Mama, can you take a picture of
So the bat's idea was that they all worked together. So he went out in the garden and he picked up that vine, and all of those friends came out and they worked together. And first they all pulled, and then they all pulled harder, and off came the pumpkin. Ho! Hooray! So the witch took the pumpkin back to her house. She made some delicious pumpkin pie to share with all her friends. Happy Halloween! Would you like to introduce our cast?
Sure. Okay, as our great big pumpkin, Jared Renew. And as our witch, Gabriella Disbrow. As our ghost, Giordano Martinez. As our vampire, Jason Perfito. And as our mummies, and as our mummies, Steve Tapia and Travis Scala. And as
So
a
cute.
that, Ryan Cliff. And we would just like to thank Ms. Paradiso for coming up with this idea and allowing us to do a show.
Thank you very much.
And Ms. Troisy for their endless hours of practice.
Thank you very much.
Jordano, mira.